What up, y'all? It's the one and only Lowell Bellinger here to report on a very important piece of Indigenous news and a recent topic. So, today we're going to talk about the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. So, this is really the most important piece of legislation in regards to Indigenous rights. So, it was established in 2007 and 144 states accepted. However, four nations did not originally agree with this legislation. And you guys can probably guess which four nations it was. So it was United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. So obviously the four nations with the most colonial history. But eventually they were persuaded to agree with this legislation. So today, the Declaration is the most comprehensive international instrument for Indigenous rights. It establishes a universal framework of minimum standards for survival, dignity, and well being of Indigenous peoples all across the globe. So, recently in December, in a news conference with Indigenous leaders, Justice Minister David Lametti outlined Bill C-15, which aims to get Canadian laws in line with the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. So, a lot of these nations, especially the Western nations, agreed to this legislation, but a lot of them weren't really compliant with it. So, this new bill places new requirements that makes the federal government work more closely with Indigenous peoples, especially leaders. So this is very important in regards to the Indigenous movement to really have something constitutional and institutional in the government in regards to Indigenous rights that really protects the Indigenous peoples. This is exactly what we need on an international level, a real piece of legislation that the UN can really get behind. So, Indigenous leaders and human rights peoples all across the globe said this is a very important stepping stone and pathway to protecting Indigenous rights. So, very important piece of legislation. We need to have more nations, especially the United States, really comply with this UNDRIP. And they should really be doing this on an annual basis. Just really making sure that they're compliant, implementing new bills, and so forth. And this is very important in regards to getting the federal government to really work with Indigenous peoples. So that's exactly what we need. More laws regulating all federal governments across the nation to really work with these Indigenous peoples and hold them accountable. We really need to hold the government accountable for the way that Indigenous peoples are being treated. So this is exactly what we need. Thank you for watching Lowell Bellinger, number one source for Indigenous news, sustainability, real estate. We do it all. We talk about topics that a lot of people don't want to talk about, providing a lot of good information here. So stay tuned for updates in regards to the UNDRIP. And stay tuned to which nations are updating their compliance with it too as well. Because like I said, a lot of nations have agreed with it, but they're not compliant. But that Bill C-15, which was recently introduced in December, is a great way to ensure and hold governments accountable on a consistent basis on the way that Indigenous peoples are being treated in their land. And as you guys know, Canada has a large population of native Indigenous peoples. So, thank you for watching and have a great